Hello, this video is going to be a little bit different from what I usually post. It's a lot more personal for one thing, but I also need to share some things about some struggles that I've been going through in the last little while. And you might have kind of noticed that there's something different or whatever if you've been to my channel before, but that doesn't matter either way. I've made some notes so I don't forget anything. So what I want to say is I've I've moved away from something that has been very popular on my channel. And you might go, well, why on earth would you do that? And the thing with being a creative artist is that, number one, there's so many ideas in your head. And for me, at least, I don't know about others, but once I feel like I've come to the end of something, my interest just drops right off. And I just can't make myself keep going. And sometimes if I do make myself keep going, it just doesn't work and the energy's not there. And I think it kind of goes flat and you can only fake yourself for so long. So at least that's for me. But I wanted to just kind of acknowledge the journey so far. And what I've really enjoyed is the connection with my subscribers and the comments, and that people really enjoyed what I was doing, and it gave them pleasure, and it gave them something to fill, made a difference in their lives somehow, even if it was just fulfilling something creative that they could easily do, which is really valuable. I don't discount that for a moment. So I want to say thank you for everyone who has followed me, who has subscribed, and who continues to, even though I've kind of been a little bit in lost land for a while. And I apologize for that because I know it's confusing. It's confusing for me because I'm confused, and also confusing for people following me, and apparently confusing for the algorithms on YouTube as well. So there's that. One thing I've found with being creative and wanting to do both YouTube videos, which I actually really enjoy making them, but in my other artist life, I've gone in a completely different direction. So it's hard. I've really had trouble kind of integrating the two and figuring out, well, where does YouTube fit in this? Where does my painting fit? Just a little bit of background. I've been a watercolor artist for 40 some years. And in the last couple of years, I wanted to try painting in acrylics so I could do canvases and bigger pieces of art. And it's been a kind of a steep learning curve because watercolor and acrylics are completely different. But I've also been looking for the style that really makes me happy, and choosing what will work in the long run and things like that. So that being said, there's a certain amount of pressure. But the other thing is I was starting to feel like a split personality. On the one hand, doing glue books and junk journals and crafty things with paper, which are a ton of fun, no question about it. And on the other hand, creating serious fine art for a direction that I'm working on going. Okay, so that sort of divided attention was really hard to sustain, and it took a lot of energy. And it's just, I had to come to the point where I had to say, okay, look, I create art much more, and I'm much happier creating art and painting than I am making paper crafts. It's just, I'm much happier doing that. And to be honest, I mean, we've all done jobs probably that we've never liked. And, you get to a certain point in life at a certain age or whatever. I'm 69 right now, where I just don't want to do things like that anymore. I've done them. you do what you have to do sometimes, but at this point, I don't have to. And so I've been trying to figure out how to integrate what I've done with what I am moving towards. And I'm not really seeing the path very easily. So I've had some personal challenges. I wouldn't say it's really creative block, but I felt disconnected from the work. And when there's no way around it, it takes an emotional toll. It takes, um, I'm not going to use mental health because I think emotional health is more accurate, but it's exhausting. So it's physically exhausting and emotionally exhausting being pulled in two directions at once. So it's really affected how passionate I felt about continuing working with Blue Books, which, to be honest, has been very successful for my channel, but just not very successful for me. So there you go. So that's why I'm moving away from that. And I really want to be authentic, because if I'm not, I have basically an attack of conscience. And I think, okay, I'm actually portraying a lie about myself. And I not only do I think that's wrong, it's just so taxing personally. So I can't keep doing things that have no interest for me for the sake of everyone else if it's at my expense. I hope you understand that. Um, Another thing too, as a creative person, and if you've been following me, you know you're a creative person. Things evolve over time. Like I did watercolors for years because I just never came to the end of the joy of watercolor until I kind of did. And I still like, excuse me, I still like working in watercolor. However, it was time for a change. And I think most people in any kind of creative work have to evolve. Otherwise, it loses its sense of creativity, basically. This is a natural part of a creative journey. And I'm also looking forward to a new direction in my life, because partly because of my age and partly because I haven't really achieved what I've wanted to achieve in the creative realm. And so I'm looking to the future, and I come from a line of people with a lot of longevity. So I'm thinking I could live to be 99 like my grandmother, which is 30 more years of being a productive artist. I may not live that long, that's fine. Um, that's totally up to God, and I'm fine with that. He knows best for me. But I'm looking at how I want to spend these years, and is it sustainable for me for whatever sort of amount of energy I have. I've never been a high energy person. I've had years of difficulty sleeping because of some health issues. So lots of times I've come to make a video or to do something creative, and I'm just so flat that I have to totally fake it to sound perky. I know I'm not sounding very perky today because I didn't have a great night, and it's just part of life. And I don't want to burden you with all, this isn't a sob story, but I want to share what's next and the type of content I'm most excited to create and to share. And it's going to be more aligned with my personal values and my energy and my current passions. Now, I don't think I'm going to be sharing a lot of how to, because I am not called to be a teacher. I'm actually not a bad teacher because I have done teaching, but it so does not fulfill me. So I'm I did consider at length creating courses and sharing what I know, which is quite considerable because I've been a working artist for 40 years or more. But every time I really entertain that idea, I have this overwhelming sense of fatigue. It's just like, oh, and I'm not saying that others shouldn't do that, not at all, because if you're called, you will love it and you'll have the energy for it. But as one of my most beloved people in my life said once, if anything gives you that feeling, it's not from God. I went, okay, fine. That is not God's plan for me. And I'm really dedicated right now to following God's plan for my life, because it's a good one. And it's time for this transition, and it's time for me to really press in to what God has for me to do at this season in my life. Okay? What I do want to do is maintain the connection that we have, and I hope that happens. Um, it has been one of the best things about making YouTube videos. I love that. So you'll probably see more videos like this, just me talking to the camera instead of creating new things. And sorry about you know what, my glasses slip down my nose because my skin is oily and they just get sort of slippery. They keep falling down. Okay, sorry. I invite you to understand what I'm going through. Maybe you're going through something similar. Things change, and sometimes they change unexpectedly. Sometimes it's exterior stuff that happens, and you have to be aware that for everything, as the Bible says in Ecclesiastes, for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So I'm looking at what's my purpose in this time in my life. And I haven't really found the exact answer, but I know that it's on the way. For example, I really felt God telling me this month to just take the month off and not try to push anything, not try to make any big decisions, just clear my head. So that's what I've been doing. I've actually been goofing off a lot more. I've been painting just to paint. I'm working on some new paintings, and I love, the feeling of paint on canvas and things like that. And it's just like getting into that. But I don't see painting as part of my YouTube channel. Perhaps it's just going to be more about dealing with life at whatever stage you're in. So thank you for understanding. I invite you to share your thoughts on this video and this transition, and where you are in your creative journey. If you're in one, if you're just beginning, if you're changing to something different, if you're searching for something new or whatever, I do ask for your feedback on what you'd like to see, for one thing, what things you're interested in, and share your thoughts. I love to create, and I love to share, and we'll just see how it turns out. There will be more videos coming. I'm not really sure what they'll be like. That will become clearer as I move along, and I suspect the algorithm isn't going to understand anyway. It'll just have to catch up. Sometimes I want to just phone up the algorithm and say, hey, algorithm, try and keep up, will you? What I would like to do is maybe do a little bit more visual storytelling, the elements of my story as an artist. I'm just being open and honest. I really appreciate you following me. If you've made it this far in the video, I love you, and I'll see you next time.